Good morning.
Good morning, Honorable Nota. We are still waiting for a quorum. We'll start momentarily. Thank you.
Oh, okay, I'm online, but I'm on my way. I have to stop by the chapter house real quick. So I'm on my way, but I'll be there. Thank you.
Nation Council, right now we are trying to figure out how to go live on Facebook, but right now we're still having technical issues with that. However, we are on YouTube Live, so if you do have constituents or any chapter officials who would like to watch live, we are now streaming on YouTube only right now, and we're having our IT look into trying to stream it on Facebook this morning. I just want to make that announcement this morning, and thank you to my colleagues and our visitors in the gallery. We're going to do a Naa'bik'iyati committee meeting. Roll call at the beginning, honorable delegates. I know there are several delegates that are also on Zoom, but we can also read that into the record. Just use the push your button to mark your presence here this morning if you had.
Yeah, you're right. The ones that haven't. So just name the ones that haven't, just
Honorable members of the 25th Navajo Nation Council, we're doing audio check for YouTube and Zoom right now. So while we're doing roll call. Sound check, test.
Good morning, everybody. Beginning roll call with Mr. Stephen Arvizo. Honorable Stephen Arvizo. Honorable Stephen Arvizo did not answer roll call. Honorable Norman Begay. Honorable Norman Begay. Honorable Norman Begay is present. Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati. Honorable Stephen Arvizo. Honorable Stephen Arvizo. Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati. Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati did not answer roll call. Honorable Herman Daniels. Honorable Herman Daniels. Honorable Herman Daniels did not answer roll call. Honorable Vince James. Honorable Vince James is present via text. Honorable Casey Johnson.
Delegate Johnson's present.
Honorable Casey Johnson answered roll call. Honorable Nathan Nota. Honorable Nathan Nota. Honorable Nathan Nota did not answer roll call. Honorable Jermaine Simonson. Honorable Jermaine Simonson. Honorable Jermaine Simonson did not answer roll call. Honorable Carl Slater.
Present.
Honorable Carl Slater answered roll call. Honorable Otto So. Honorable Otto So.
I'm present.
Honorable Otto So answered roll call. Honorable Curtis Yanito.
I am present.
Honorable Otto So answered roll call. Honorable Curtis Yanito. Honorable Curtis Yanito. Honorable Curtis Yanito did not answer roll call. Going back up. Honorable Stephen Arvizo. Honorable Stephen Arvizo. Honorable Stephen Arvizo did not answer roll call. Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati. Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati. Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati did not answer roll call. Honorable Herman Daniels. Honorable Herman Daniels. Honorable Herman Daniels did not answer roll call. Honorable Nathan Nota.
I hope you can hear me. I'm here.
Honorable Nathan Nota answered roll call. Honorable Jermaine Simonson. Honorable Jermaine Simonson. Honorable Jermaine Simonson did not answer roll call. Honorable Curtis Ganito. Honorable Curtis Ganito. Honorable Curtis Ganito did not answer roll call. With that, Madam Speaker, you have 19 delegates, including yourself, delegates via Zoom, and delegates who are present.
Thank you, staff. We have it's present and both on the floor and also on Zoom. We'll call the meeting to 10:24 a.m. Honorable Jesus, could you help us with the invocation this morning?
Yeah, it's been a good morning and thank you, Madam Speaker, Curly, Shadeja. Do kodo to the Zen and I also want to say greetings to my colleagues of the 25th Navajo Nation Council and also to the listeners on the Zoom call. And thank you for joining us this morning. So if we could just all bow our heads. Kodo Jondo Le Nahosan Shema Yadik Shitra Kodo Eyanja Hajopa Anadine. So there's an Abeni Todo Beni Angit Akodo Benkijit Dilzen. Kuden Hetsu Hiyajini Klingo Kodon Liningi Ebe Nhanosen Hine Ben Hanosen Shidi in the night the Hanoshoni. Adigo Zekti in the nay, Yachni and Jordan Kodo ya not ani Hatningo, Nadine Ashla Beshpas under Nahas Tanegi Kodo, and Hinanish Nane na deep in be do each. Kun Lenigi ya Athago Nihil one London foundation. Nahad a Elie in Sahakes, a Naa'bik'iyati Naslag on Leni ya Hajopa. Beikije. A day got shitty in the night down of Leni. Hada she kun Leni was Twisani. Hajopa do Kunden Leni give it zero. In Nangha de Yilado, the husband on Sahakis the Kundene and Chikotona Hat Hanigi, Nacha Ea Hadan so leading hit to Yat Eokun. In hik the na kron the Naa'bik'iyati ka the nige kron ad edechwas. Klare names that the doba on names na partners na has ano good na keda hat any don't lay. But lako kron den na chinese in your pension na the cat hik keda hat enigi. A kron linigi ba adi na a creature. Kuyat eho in Lenigi, Hadan Hubo, Hatishi, the Hat Lenigi e Yapon, Pachidi Ligo, the Naje Lenigi Naso Nejayat eho Nane Katunizo. The Nakun Line en Kinch Kashi in the night, the Hamot Moni Kudon Lenigi eya, Ajor Saba or Nini, Lenigi, they gave the data who needs and on Sondish. Show the Hashine la Kunden Hibina. Go down with the Never Washington, Dave Nishiki, Ada Kudo Hashim, Hugo, Dankos, who the Benat Ani Dani Plon, Golden Lenegi Benacha, Yad Ehon Lenegi Hines, Shonde. Doi had either way you need Ada, whom Lenegi Chajopa e needs and Hashine larger for Sequos. So Hashine larger Aya, Chitini, A, so Chitini, Zabo, Chitini, the Chitini either a Lenigi Kunda Havana or Hashi in the night of Hamoni. No Hashin for the nation Lenigi up the nail, so Dobinate and Git, how could Obijet with it, and lay Hayo Happy, don't lay a Apiet, don't lay Chahat Hapiet, Captain Hinan nation Lenigi, the Nago Kun Lenigi, not Danish, not Ani. Beshpas Anilia Kubeki Dingi or Shonen Linigi Shaban Shabahania. The cat after its 8 larger, but also 8 larger, 8 named Bahazan. The ye be ya but send over to the Zendlin ship at that don't. But English hinge Kado Ado Kunde, the never washing donja day, Nishiki large not on it and lay don't lay Kunda not so day, Inigi Fago, Linigi Shahat or Shapa, Helium Sondish. Kundlini Hashine large, Kundliniki, Shahat Nixon. Machine Linigi, but ordinate naked non the shiki but not contained in linear Sean. Nafalia, who interested him saw the schnitt. The Nacha Echo Linear Echo Koto, Egypt and yet Bela at Lehiki database pass on the Linigi Anat Subcommittee Liego, Resources Development Committee, Budget and Finance. Health and Social Services Committee, the Law and Order Go, Linigi, Nigi, Kuji, Large and cannot funding Linigi, Ada could on the for jobbing Kia that the Keto, in Chinat based Agit, Abing, Hadi, Lake, small to Shangot on Hinge King, the Kudo cannot find it larger Kujatas Danigi, Shadasian, Blingo, Crystalline, Curly, Linear Shonda Shapa, Hanya. Hashine large and linear ani, pardon Kejahidi, Hato, Kung Lini, they've got the J Hallo, it's east Hallo back to Chinesian, the name the non Linigi Hallo, the non Linigi Kushaban Chen, the Shnakuyat El non Nation Lingi Haido later Shonda, but our aim Linigi Koda art aided the net, became a card, but the national doesn't kick a the net and laid. The wage lead or wage and lead or we sonage and now art aided combination don't start the shin. Would go and finish about Hanyado Ko a hat non kiddish or she in the nay. Go they yes the end the nay. Ado Kum probably cut the Kum bleeding sub other Kum sheet on. A shame for the Nahastan, Benigin non nation Kunjinal Gloshi at the Hallo. Lay here for her Ado Bekashi. Out of the bedot as a dog Linigi put up. Yeah, she had nannies and Dokun the Hashim so that the Linigi done the Hadot play. Didn't lay was cheat Hanai calm. Joked on Lini Aya, Lini Tobacco, she had Senashi Nibichet the hunt, Adot the hunt and the Anna Eko Linigi Nasan Lini. Hashim forgot cheat Linigi Benki change na in Knikun Linigi Tobacco, she had. But I ain't Benigi, deep Benibi yet, art and should the Nado, Kon the Nat Loshi, Doko now Sanchama, Yadel should have the national storage. But I ain't Hajoba eating me, Kun Lenigi, Benibi yet. But I had 90 the Schneed or Kun Lenigi. It's pardon Lenikun, Hadia, RPJ, Ado, Ado, me, the past citizen Lenigin Handel Fadons Nordishne. Vajonastly,
Honorable Jesus Konajanago, citizen Hape. Thank you for that wonderful prayer this morning. Good morning again, colleagues. We are in session for the Naa'bik'iyati committee. Adokune Na'asogi a recognition of guests and visiting officials.
George told.
Kodo Shiche, Honorable Toll.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Madam Kodo Shawin Sagido, Natani Tengoya Hanani Sagito, Ado in the Edais again, screen exam, Roshi program for Dice, Roshi, here the Shnido, we Sani, Latte. Hashing Rojo by the Lego. A Babu Benashi, or this go, here have been or this go staff, Shanigi, Archibald, Hashianigi, Ego, and so I will buy hits and any more help. So we should have a single plan to see the judicial she on anything we are watching from seconds of the first speak. Thank you.
Helena Nesbigay.
Honorable Helena Nesbigay. Good morning, everyone. My 25th Council, Honorable Speaker Curley, Adonai, Shigedo Shibane, Kone Hoyaido, online too. So this morning, my name is Helena Nesbigay, and Kuriji Shlibe was Anabash's Chi Nakaina Bishop Chedo, Mashed Wahabashanale. Although at this time, I want to mention that we, from Kaibito chapter, that we lost former Honorable Councilor Lee F. Johnson Sr. He served as a Navajo Nation Council for 16 years and served in the Navy from 1969 to 1972. He was a senior rank, honorable discharge, and earned a National Defense Medal. After coming home, he became a rancher, and he was a brother to the late Kelsey Begay's wife, Marie Begay. He married Sally Johnson, and they had 5 children, and they had more grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And Mr. Johnson's funeral is tomorrow at 9 o'clock. It's going to be a graveside in Kaibito. So the Naa'bik'iyati with the Hinagani Niko Nahashishi with Benashi Dole. So just out of respect for the family. So with our AD beneath with our Hasti Dole here. Hachima, Honorable Begay. Adokone a Delegate Herman Daniels, Kone Abasto. Honorable Daniels.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Aron the Kodo Senat Senegi, 25th Navajo Nation Council. Aron the Kodos Senat Lengi Kodo the Kodo Sotolia had 3 Kodo. Honorable Jesus Kodo. I see by here Hilna Kodo by here needs and Kodo. Asian Kodo a the needs and dollars Kodo, the nail now see. Oh, Aston Hinan should deal names Kodo. Aron Nana Kodo. At this time, I want to thank my leaders, Kodona Gaita, at the local level, Kodona Gaita, with the at Wasato Dago, Gaita, Sato, Tabi Kin, Matas An, or Jeto, Panas, Nalin, Lenigito, Nana, Gaita, chapter staff, Lenigi, with us, Arun the Kodos, LB8 of Kodonam, Mr. LP Small Canyon, Kodo, with us, Shagi, that, Nagaida. That Zona the Kodoa to have made the men Lenigi cut Najwa, a yarn, she's the beho. Quota AIC here the destiny. I don't know Kodona great dam, the great Dana and Long in a great dam for Leha was a Salt Lake City, the other age and as I see, Linkodo, I don't know if Kanda High, Kanda Dawsonat, and Lenigi. I want to thank Kodona, Honorable Slater, Honorable Simonson, Honorable Parrish, Honorable Rick Naz, Iron Dakoto, Honorable Yanito, Iron Dakoto, Honorable Speaker Kodo Shama, Iron Dakoto, President Nigran, Kodo Suche, Kodo, AIC, he have the destinies, Kodo, Ko AIC Kodo, Baba Hen, Kodo Dam, Adana Kodo, Hashin Sonat, Lenigi Aja Dam, a ye who one dot, a day who one that has Hangi, education down field, Nekodo. Now in the state of Utah, San Juan County, and now it's priorities. Kodo, very adequate conduct. Kodo not for better. Now it's I be kodo. Sando Kodo nagay e araba. Karatil, Sosabata Will, Nandeco, Eco, ADIC here, the middle Koto. Madam Chair, thank you very much.
Honorable Daniels. I don't see anybody in queue for recognizing guests and visiting officials. We'll go down to number 3, review and adopt the agenda. Staff, could you read the agenda into the record?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, Chairwoman. This is the agenda for the Naa'bik'iyati Committee of the 25th Nomination Council special meeting via telecommunication and in person. Wonder Nation, Thursday, February 2nd, 2023. Proposed agenda, presiding chair, Honorable Crystalline Curley, Speaker, 25th Nomination Council. 1, call meeting to order, roll convocation. 2, recognize guests and visiting officials, 2-minute limit per delegate. 3, review and adopt the agenda. 4, review and adopt the journals, there are none. 5, receive reports, none. 6, old business, none. 7, new business A, legislation 0005-23. 8, close the meeting, announcements, adjournment. Madam Speaker.
Nobody can entertain a motion in a second. Motion by Honorable Simpson, second by Honorable Johnson. Are there any questions or comments on the agenda, colleagues? Thank you again, colleagues. When there's no comments or concerns to the agenda, we're calling for a vote up to the drawing board. For the record, we have Honorable James, Honorable Slater, Honorable Daniels, vote screen via text. Honorable Luiso, Honorable Crotty, Honorable Nota,
Green.
Honorable Simonson, Honorable Yanito. We have in favor of 19, 0 opposed, the speaker not voting. We have number 4, review and adopt the journals, none. Number 5, receive reports, none. Number 6, old business, none. Number 7, new business, legislation 005-23. Kodosh Yaj, Honorable Ezra, could you serve as our pro temp speaker? Chair Pro Tem, Pradhan Habile, Shiash.
No, you just push off. Use the red button. Yeah.
Dạ thế bên có cái hệ nào nó phải speaker pro tem sẽ nào ado xin nas có xin tại vì ní số đó let's say new business Georgie's legislation 5005-23 kasi we'll go ahead and get this read into record and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman Pro Tem. Tracking number 0005-23 in action relating to the Naa'bik'iyati Committee and Navajo Nation Council, confirming the speaker's appointment of members to the Budget and Finance, Law and Order, Resource and Development, and Health, Education, and Human Services Committees of the 25th Navajo Nation Council. This legislation is sponsored by Honorable Speaker Crystal Curley. This is the first committee as they're at Naa'bik'iyati. It will move on to Navajo Nation Council. There are no other committee reports. There is a public report that is also attached, and this legislation has been emailed out to all delegates. This legislation will move on to the Navajo Nation Council. Mr. Chairman Pro Tem.
Agashin manual here lang in kaigi Agashin naskunane kato first I'm going to go ahead see if there's any questions or concerns. Oh, excuse me. I'd like to get a motion for this in a second before we continue. Motion by Norman Begay and second by George Toll. Is there any comments, questions to the legislation? We'll give the floor to the sponsor, Crystal Curley. Before we take any more questions, Madam Speaker, Crystal Curley, you got the floor for 20 minutes.
Shiaz, Honorable Chair Pro Tem, Mr. Honorable Azaret, Pradhan Shahat, Don Khaham Shafigi. Good morning to the honorable members of the 25th Navajo Nation Council, and also our visiting guests within the gallery and also individuals watching online. Honorable Jesus, Crystalline Curly, Nishia, Senja Kinin Nishla, Twohead, Lini, Bashichin, Kiani, Dashiche, Dodzi, Kati, Kiani, Dashanella, but Amato, Astanish, Nishle, Donde, couple of days ago, Speaker of the 25th Navajo Nation Council, Hudini, Ati, Bahinson, Ade, Shanat, Ado Kune, Nele, Shlako, Tatnas, and the Vikitinchi, Salina Cottonwood, Ado, Bistok, Ishim Deshkij, Jetes, Nazlenedo, Dakehadlane. And this morning, I'm very honored and thankful to bring forth legislation number 0005-23. It is confirming the Speaker's appointment of members of the Budget and Finance, Law and Order, Resources and Development, and the Health, Education, Human Services Committee of the 25th Navajo Nation Council. And colleagues, it has been 3 weeks since we have taken the oath of office to serve our Navajo people and our chapters. The winter session is Liya Da. Many of you have expressed the need to start getting the committee members established. That you did express that support to go forward with appointing these committees. We have many issues that are before us at the local and state and federal level. And establishing the appointments of the committees will only further to assist us to move forward to a lot of our constituents, our chapters, and our divisions and our programs concerned. I also appreciate my colleagues here, the 25th Navajo Nation Council, who have emailed me or dropped off their resumes to assist me within this appointment process. And thank you again for putting this on the agenda today. I know we have many meetings that are before us, especially within the state legislatures. We know that some of us did attend the Utah tribal legislature days yesterday, and then we also have one tomorrow again out in Santa Fe for the New Mexico. And thank you again, and I look forward to working with each of you. Thank you, Pro Temp Chair.
Yate nana head do again Shanantai, Crystalline Curly, the behind Ziggy should Naskoshi nane kato the questions, concerns, especially Mr. Herman Daniels, Shanantai.
Thank you. Kadota speak Chair Pro Temp those Honorable Everett speak this morning. I'm on the road back to Monument Valley. So Utah down to the water course. So laser they postponed everything. The funeral service for the late Chairman Steele, the Goshen tribe, so I'm headed back that way. So I don't not so say then how did I got so the key AIC by him legislation 0005-23 so makwado hita means so kodo issue kodo na gate nana hego that on the na great committees fine the key adona na kwado na great adult comment 5-day comment period and that's all in struggle Coco, I don't know or in Quadona Gatam. Nagata committees like 8 days and the Nagata Law and Order Committee 8 days and the Adonana Health Education and Human Services Committee 8 days and the so Nagata Resources and Development Committee out of the Budget and Finance Committee gonna add and hello the Hikana and the Cobesma and Kotoshi at and that or the hot and the Kodosan Janesh Ego. So Nana Kodo just crowd out echo. So, cause it don't that what is not honestly so love and how the Adonana and the Veda and I but the has undergo as don't have the criminal investigation as don't have the Ado Kozo Head Committee. I just don't agree. Ultra and how the Adonana enough out and how the Kozo you go with that one. The Shigi had not the Aja store. A Kokoziki stone the Radam RDC Resources and Development Committee. Aja to Ayan to have the for Adona Budget and Finance Committee. Aja Joy Bethana, Raj and Aja the Bishop and that's the Aja can have. A Coco Kodona Radam. John Doe lesson then so Eban this case could look at the Radam Agency Caucus a daily Yago. What are Oibo net not on dance better? What I in a great agency as in a great delegates and then again, RBS and what also in the ARA, yeah, I thought the did Abbas got a need the door nation. What up on net not on that one such cases, such that they got a team baho. A call, oh, you go but what the Higgy has not did. I don't know here because a Western agency, Joe, what go go so a corner rate and his husband should not Western agency that's a tourist area as the rate now shot and a rate starting from Mexican Hat, Utah, Halchita, Utah. That's where everything starts. The rate that tourists they hit the catch on Ragi than the great Antelope Canyon gunne. I don't know, Nana Sanagon Highway 163, Highway 160, Highway 98, 89. Is what I see. You caught now, Gachana, Ragi, a coco. As a you, 120 hours. A coco, I don't agree them. Or don't ego, I don't agree them. Members from delegates from that agency, I don't agree, Western agency, those are not key. It was just a car out of a quaggy as in a great so equal not then the equal Honorable Johnson don't honorable so ARDC a bit busy with car a quadria you are sad not no na ashna the call in a great honest there's odd a con hit quidget stock on the way has on the or jet cord on the way a shot towards just don't have even now, this is not a great agency caucus the baby out. I think on that not on that front of about this case to go. So I don't know or look at it Naa'bik'iyati here. Naa'bik'iyati here. Or the Quador Yiddish Kishiki, except Quadona agency caucus that is nation. I don't make that it awesome for you. What I do, I don't know. I don't know, kid. Ebe la di les quado. So I don't have a hospital les quado so that quado great pro temp chair quado so not zenigi quado. Thank you very much.
Mr. Herman Daniels. Naa'bik'iyati, next in the queue is Honorable Danny Simpson.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you for supporting the speaker, those members of the Naa'bik'iyati committee, those guests that are listening the YouTube, watching YouTube. Chantal, I know it's been a busy 3 weeks. As the Madam Speaker stated, it's been 3 weeks, we all took our oath. And from day one, we've been very busy in trying to address our issues with our communities. Okay, we've been trying to invest moisture that we've been receiving for the past 3 weeks. That kept us busy too. So, okay, seems like we're trying to get these appointments to be confirmed by the council. So, I'll cover Hanats, all the caucuses leader though, they didn't, members from each agency didn't get together to discuss this appointment. I'd like to use Rule 13, informal discussion among members from each agency to discuss these appointments, and they come up with a recommendation to the Naa'bik'iyati, which we forward to the council. So Ada actually spoke to the speaker that the agency, each members from each agency, they get together, discuss these appointments, then come back. So I'd like to have that informal discussion, maybe for about 30 minutes among the agency delegates. Ada, spoke to the speaker.
Pakwashila here, Mr. Simpson. Adonan next one will be Cheryl Lynn Yazzie. Go ahead.
Good morning, everybody, to all my relatives here and then also on social media. I wanted to know that we just got a packet of all of the comments that were placed. I haven't had time to read through all of them. Do we get time to go through this? How do you consider that in making the decision? Reserve my time.
Pakwashila, Shanandai, Honorable Cheryl Yazzie. Go Ashini Arnold Sportnat Sosti Day, Nkate Nilamida, a call. Does it I don't care on the Shito Anida Shade Pido, Nasconane does it, Joe de Dil Cato, Radita Bacato. Thinking maybe we should just go in recess for about 10 minutes and then give you a chance to look at all of this and see what's on it, and then we can come right back and discuss more or make comments more on it, and then go from there. Mr. Simpson, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, now I'm supporting the speaker, though Naa'bik'iyati committee. Yes, Mr. Supporting Speaker, I made a request using Rule 13 that we go into informal discussions among delegates that represent agencies to discuss this legislation on the appointments. Beta indicate that's going to take about maybe 30 to 45 minutes. Minute detail is within their agency on these appointments. Then we come back with our recommendation from each agency. Sent out indicate you didn't recognize my final requesting using rule 13. Sent out.
Mr. Simpson. Especially we'll go to Mr. Ricky Nez.
Good morning, Honorable Speaker Curley, Honorable Pro Tem Asheret, Honorable members of the 25th Navajo Nation Council. There were a few questions and concerns that are raised related to the selection process and on legislation 005-23. May we have our Madam Speaker respond first, and then perhaps we could hear from her as far as the recommendations that are being made for agency caucuses. Mr. Pro Tem Speaker, so.
Ricky Nez. First, I'm going to go ahead and let our chief counsel here to read the rule 13, and then we can go from there. Naa'bik'iyati, Crystal, and I'll give you the floor to answer some of those. Okay.
Good morning. This is Dana Bogros, Chief Legislative Counsel. So we're looking at standing committee rules of order, not your council rules. So standing committee rules of order. Rule 13, informal discussion. Any committee member may request to suspend formal discussion on any legislation or issue by requesting, and this is in quote marks, an off-record discussion. It shall be at the discretion of the chairperson to grant such a request. My recommendations are that if the request is made, then it is at the speaker's discretion. If he chooses to grant the request, that he set a time length when it will start and when everybody needs to come back. Thank you, Speaker. Back to you.
Thank you for that information. I want to go ahead and give the floor to Madam Speaker Crystalline, so you can answer some of the questions that were brought up and go from there. Thank you.
Chair Pro Tem Kodo Dinko Naa'bik'iyati. In questions to Honorable Daniels, you did stated that there is overwhelming of delegates who do want to be on the Budget and Finance Committee and also the Resources and Development Committee. And I did see that disproportionate between the delegates, and you know, for some of us new delegates that are here for the first time, you know, we're looking into why is that considered the most favorable committee. And also, you did comment that the Law and Order Committee and the Health, Education, Human Services Committee is also less desirable among the delegates. And there has been ongoing discussions, you know, just really evaluating of what I'm faced with, and even with the numbers of committees on each one. For example, LOC is the only committee with 5 members. So often there is you know, not a set amount of equal members on the committees at all. But I know there has been several recommendations from my council member is maybe we need to have that discussion on how each one of us can be a part, either a budget and finance or resources and development. Maybe in the future, that is something that we do need to address. And also in regards to the caucus, Kodo agency caucus, I remember that was a comment on the floor during the 23rd winter council session during of my report on speaker's report. And I did reach out to some of you that did recommend that. And you as agencies within your own agencies and within your own regions, so for 30 minutes, Mr. Honorable Simpson, there are some questions among each of yourselves and, how can we move forward together? And I do favor that. I'm not, standing up here with, no concurrence or anything. And I just want to help make this as easily as possible and understanding as possible. And there, in regards to Honorable Sherilyn Yaldi's question, I hope you do have the time to read through those supporting or opposing comments to the legislation. And we do have that 5-day comment period, and it was posted back, I believe, on Friday, and now to this day throughout this week. And if you do have constituents or any individual who is willing to speak on this, they do have that opportunity online. For those questions. Chair.
Okay, Madam Speaker, so Mr. George Toth, you're on the line. You're next.
Thank you, Pro Temp Speaker, also Madam Speaker. I think according to the authority that you have, and also we're asked to submit the resume. That's the key point. You apply for a job, letter of interest, resume. So what about Shaheen? The budget committee that the Northern region. Job explained caucus that the lead for. We need to go on because we're waiting. People are waiting out there. She can let that budget. How to create a recommendation. How to should I have today in read today? Yeah. One person taking that book. No, not all 110 chapter comment. So I wanted to ask the attorney here, who has the ultimate authority to putting in place and you have us this chair. So we will not see the late. So I can't do it.
Yeah, that's I'm Mr. Toth. Sashi Norman, Nanado. And I Norman.
Yeah, thanks, Chan, Speaker, get that one up, so selecting a committee, and seems like there's only 3 or 4 people that are really, people are recommending that they change their, committee members, so, I think, the speaker did what he could do, and he asked for the resume go out and the caucus now. Should be based on we're not just tied down to these committees yet. We're supposed to attend whatever committee they're having to represent our communities. Just because you're not on a certain committee, you can attend all these committee meetings. You could, voice your opinion at these committee meetings. So, going to caucus, I don't think nothing's going to change here, except, divide the 5 agency. And each side the way I see all these comments on the net by people are being forced to they're being shrunk. So let's go into caucus and see what happens with the agency and what comes out of it. Thank you.
Speaker
Moment
Curley, put me on the queue.
Just go ahead and go to Honorable Charles Newton.
Yanito.
Thank you, Chair Pro Tem, for recognizing me. I think it's very interesting that we suddenly want to see what the comments are. I think there was a lot of comments being made about things that have been happening here on the 25th already. But in terms of the committee assignments, I remember Delegate Eugene So during the 24th Navajo Nation Council tried to eliminate all of the committees and create one committee. And the argument was that each one of us is affected by what the committees hear. So if we're talking about the funding, the money, budget, and finance, every single delegate is affected by that. We're talking about veterans, every single delegate is affected by that. We're talking about housing, every single delegate is affected by that. And I know that Delegate Eugene So, tried to push to create just one committee and, and change it where that voting was only done at council, and then all of the talking would be done at Naa'bik'iyati. And there were a few of us who supported that idea because I know that during 24, there were some committees, if you were not part of that committee, you couldn't speak or you couldn't ask questions. So I understand, Delegate Norman Begay, saying that as delegates, we have that opportunity. It just depends on who is part of that committee. Because if you're questioning a director and it's not a popular question, you can get cut off. So in a lot of ways, it is true, yes, as delegates, we do have the opportunity to speak, but not at the committee level. And that's why, I think that, if we truly want change, and that word has been thrown around so many times, we truly want change, and maybe now is the time that we need to look at whether the committees are really fulfilling the roles or the issues of our Navajo people, and asking us, asking ourselves that question of, are we really listening to everybody's concerns? Because what we're going to start to see is committees are just going to be passing legislation. because delegates want to attend their chapter meetings. And then you're gonna have, you know, when it gets to Nabi, you know, you're gonna have every single delegate asking questions when it went before their committee. And then it's gonna get to council, then you're gonna have more questions. So maybe it's time as a council that we look at this and we say, you know, is this really working? Is what we have in front of us really working? And I know that in order to change the laws, you know, we technically, you know, we're all council, so any one of us can drop legislation to change it. But perhaps that's a question we should be asking, because as Speaker Curley stated, you know, everybody wants to be on budget and finance. Everybody wants to be on RDC. I don't know why. You know, personally, I don't really see, you know, like I asked that question 4 years ago, you know, why does everybody want to be on budget and finance? Why does everybody want to be on RDC? If you look at the trend though of voting, you'll see that most delegates who get elected who get on RDC and budget and finance, a majority of them don't come back to council, because those delegates, you don't really see their work at the community level. Health, education, human services, law and order committee, those delegates usually come back because the community sees them out there. So maybe it's time as a council, we look at the way that these committees are being assigned, and maybe just create one committee where we hear reports from everybody across the board. Law enforcement doesn't have to just report to LOC, they can report to the entire Naa'bik'iyati. NHA can report to the entire Naa'bik'iyati. So maybe that's something that we should do. And then in terms of the funding with budget and finance, it wasn't until my 4th year as a delegate that I learned I could actually take part in the investment meetings, which I did. I took advantage of that and I learned so much. And so I think we would just be shortchanging each other if, you know, if we continue with these 4 committees. And then make it very clear that if we do proceed forward with the 4 committees, that, you know, every delegate have the right and the opportunity to take part in the committees and ask questions, even if it's not popular to the committee. So I think that that's something that we as a council, we can change that. We can change the way that we, you know, the way that we recognize each other as colleagues. And then also, you know, the issues that are coming out. And for me, I just always feel like at Nabi, I like Nabi. I like Nabi because we're all together. We all hear the same issues. We ask questions and we get to like make each other think because of the questions that we have. So again, you know, in terms of these 4 committees, you know, why not just do away with them and create just one committee and just do 1 week of reporting so we can hear from each of the different divisions and directors as a whole. You know, we can hear the issues and we can decide as a whole how we're going to address those issues and truly work together as opposed, you know, as opposed to working in committees. That's what I want to say. And again, you know, that is an option. Delegate Eugene So did drop that legislation, I believe it was last year, to try to just move to having one committee. And then, you know, having little subcommittees underneath that, but the subcommittees were like I think we had a Method subcommittee. We also had a sexual assault prevention subcommittee. I think there was a gaming subcommittee. You know, so maybe that is an option that we can all have discussions on. Thank you.
Honorable Charles Newton behind Z. I want to go ahead and go to the sponsor to answer some of the questions or some of the comments before we go on to the next requester. Shinandai.
Honorable members of the Naa'bik'iyati committee. Honorable 19th Kirigi. Yes, I did email the delegates, or if you do feel comfortable sending me a resume, and you were more than welcome to do that. Cover letters and although I want to also to mention, I did get one chapter resolution and also with Mr. Honorable Begay Kudo, 19th Kitigishi Ani Kudo. If we do have that working relationship among committee to committee, and Kudan Shma Kudoya Hadzi, Honorable Charles Newton Ani Akutef Kudo Nadaned Ihoshi Najame. And I know, thank you, Honorable Charles Newton. Thank you for that wonderful explanation. It has been one of the talking points for the past few years of how, how committees, what their duties and responsibilities are, and also having that open meeting between one another, and, having that opportunity to also voice your concerns, even though you are not on a certain committee. Having that opportunity would be nice to, voice your concerns on behalf of your chapters. And I originally remember during the declaration of the Naa'bik'iyati, in the past, the resolution did state that is where everybody comes together to talk to one another and come to an agreement. When we're at home, a lot of decisions are among each other within the family. If we go back and really root it back to the purpose of how it was created, and thank you, Honorable Charles Newton, too, for stating that, there was an effort to reform the committees. And that is a very possibility that we can do here within the 25th Navajo Nation Council. I know all of you want to speak within budget and finance. I know many of you want to be, voicing to concerns with the resources and development, even with the enterprises attached to it. And, that would be something great to see, just working together and then having all that same information before us at the same time and within the same location. I was pro temp chair.
Again, and I have Ms. Curley. Adonan Koshi, Mr. Honorable Curtis Yanito, Nan. Curtis Yanito, you're next. What? Twice. We'll just go to.
Hello, this is Arnold Yanito. Can you hear me?
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Yanito.
Oh, yatin gidishnido les Arnold 25th Council. Shay Aston, I'm still at the Capitol here in the state of Utah. I couldn't make it to the meeting here. I apologize. I don't know. I got a lot of text from different chapters across the Navajo Nation, even though a lot of them are not in my chapters. What any as a legislators, the standing committee, this chief, Lenigi, I don't know. I think it's Lavon Henry. That's it doesn't he get a deal. Is so what I don't think it hasn't been challenged yet. As a standing committee, That considered every issues out there that's on the floor with all these departments. Of course, oh, you go yat Naa'bik'iyati or tiki hello ko. Sao de yat ani it asati ishi benhat anit oversa George na hello ya ba hin inse. Ebony na go yat ani ya. I think we should do away with this standing committee. Of course, Naa'bik'iyati na hello ya. Anit anybody need ongo ya eto list. So did in ha is lieben nachigo ya nihiya. Nihiya and ha is lieben nachigo ya di standing committee et an hi. Ajo banda dit into ani edi ko you ya da has we need change ninigi. That's what we're aiming for. Jem yen ha da is nil. Need sa how do needs to go did it all. Like everything seems like it's all a buddy system. This government is kind of a little bit out of control now, Lord. That's how I start to understand. Even as a legislator, the 25th council needs Linigi, Ajo, so let's really do away with this standing committee. Let's all get involved in every subjects, every standing committee subjects. I think we still need to come back together. There's always be someone that's leading the way. I'm in favor of doing away with this standing committee as one. I want to make that kind of recommendation.
Yeah, lunch, right, Mr. Yanito. Before we go to the next speakers, I'd like to go ahead and call on Chief Legal Counsel Bob Ruff about the authority to select members of the committee. Ms. Bob Ruff?
Thank you. This is Dana Barbara, Chief Legal Counsel. So the rules the rule or the authorities to appoint committee assignments is set forth in Title II, Section 181. So 2 NNC 181, which states 181 membership. A committee shall have at least one member from each of the agencies of the Navajo Nation as defined in 2 NNC Section 110A. The speaker shall select committee membership subject to confirmation by the Navajo Nation Council. Vacancies shall be filled by the speaker. So therefore, in first instance, the speaker has the authority to select the committee membership that needs to be approved, confirmed by the council. While I have the opportunity, if you are going to make amendments to the committee assignments, what we need is, to begin with, you need to be switching. So there has to be 2 delegates who both agree to the switch, and they need to be from the same agency. And also because of the use of the word shall in the code, that the speaker shall select committee membership, the speaker should agree or concur at least to that amendment. Back to you, Speaker Pro Tem, unless there's additional questions.
Thank you, Ms. Barbara, for that reading of the. I think Mr. Nota asked about who's got authority, and I just wanted to make sure that it's read into record so that if you want a just like she says that, please read that and then we can go from there. Next, on the queue is Mr. Honorable Nota. You got the floor.
Yeah, thanks,
Good morning. Delegate Nota from Tohatchi, Twin Lakes, Nash City, Mexican Springs, and Coyote Canyon. I agree with Delegate Newton, Delegate Yanito about changing the process of listening to these issues and concerns that affect us as a Navajo Nation. I did have a couple of phone calls with a couple of other delegates this past weekend, and that information was brought up to me, and I thought that that was a good idea. And I think those are things that we really need to look at. We need to, even with now, with the committees, we need to maybe look at those rules and regulations to where we can have some input if we're not on that particular committee. I do feel that all of us as council delegates, we have input that we can put into each of these committees that, and then their issues that they're dealing with. I'm one of those that I am very disappointed in the process where these selections were made. I think they were fairly blunt, and I don't know who helped you, Speaker Curley, in making these decisions. I know you probably got a lot of our resumes, you got a lot of comments to read, the resolutions that you're talking about. But I do feel that as a council, maybe through this caucus process, which was done in the past, I think that that should have done with this as well. I really, being that we're a cohesive unit, we're supposed to be cooperative. I think that all the council delegates should have had an opportunity through this caucus process to help you in this decision. We are a group, we are one unit, and I think that it would have been courtesy to let us know before all that information was released late Friday evening. That's my comments. I do feel that a caucus might help some of those that have some disappointments, and I'm willing to attempt to do something with this caucus that some of the other council delegates had requested for. So thank you, and have a good day. Tahasito.
Akushina, Chinandai, Mr. Nota, Lavansi, Agashina, Nasko, Nandai, Shandin Parish, you're next.
Speaker Pro Tem Azra Aldo, Shake A, Aldo, Speaker Curly Do, good morning, everybody. I just wanted to acknowledge the conversation of change in the room. I think that this is good progression in the changes that we need to see for our people. As the member who is representing Kayenta, Danahozo, and Chilchimbito, I can also speak to the importance of being a part of the conversation regarding public safety, because a lot of our delegates, we represent the districts among our police department and among our fire departments. And in order for us to make progression in public safety, I think we all need to be at the table. But I just wanted to acknowledge my colleague, Mr. Danny Simpson, the delegate from Eastern Agency. I believe he's been raising his hand in the back and he wants to share some information regarding an effort that he wants to talk about. So I just want to acknowledge my colleague there and ask if we get to get some time to speak because his button isn't working. Thank you.
Akushina Kiatlan, Chinandai, Chandin. Mr. Chinandai, Honorable Oduso, none.
Pro Temp for acknowledging me. There's only this there's only so the caucus is usually utilized to
see if there's any disagreements or to at least allow some sort of conversation among colleagues so that they could either get consensus or see where everybody's at. But and we just have to acknowledge it and the chief legal counsel has indicated that in Title II, subsection 184, 181 indicates the speaker shall select and it's always been the practice on the day. It's a order I did other bear kekahni go you watch it. I saw Tando should have 16 Tado Nick. One of single kilo bears on Canada of people. The should 16 Tadano Nifiki AD meaning dissolving the standing committees. And then we go into the mode of allowing and reconfiguring Title II. We know that the 22nd Council took about a year and a half to reconfigure Title II when the council was reduced from 88 to 24. It dropped from 11 standing committees down to 4 standing committees. A couple or 5 standing committees, NABI, being Budget Finance Committee, RDC, Health and Human Service Committee, and LOC. Right now, this policy that is here is done in the 22nd Navajo Nation Council. That's what allowed this legislation to have some sort of guidance to indicate in Title II Navajo Nation Code, subsection 181. The speaker shall select next. It doesn't say shall caucus. The agency shall caucus or NETA. Instead, I came across on the 24th Navajo Nation Council. It was put into a Health and Human Service Committee, and there was a delegate that I swapped with, and we talked about it on the sideline. So sat down and said, hey, can we swap committee? And he was put in LOC and I was in Health and Human Service Committee. And I looked at my schedule, my personal chapter schedule, because my chapter meeting happens the first Sunday of the month. And that allows me to be within the vicinity. And the second, third, and fourth Mondays is committee meetings. So I said, this fits my schedule. Myself and Honorable Paul Begay. And Paul Begay said, I come from an education background. So I think that's another route that could happen if the delegates could have that conversation within their agency. Hey, and can we swap? You know, things like that. I myself served on LLC for 8 years, public safety. Resources Development Committee, Budget and Finance Committee, and Health and Human Service Committee. I do support the one committee legislation. Honorable Eugene So from the former delegate from Chin Lee wanted to introduce that. And we lost it. We crashed and burned. And 8 bad before. You know, that's another thing that we need to look at. And then with that, if that legislation goes forth, we're gonna have to come back to the table and probably meet 2-3 days out of a week, the committee to restructure Title II, because Title II speaks to committee authorities. When you take those committee authorities away, who's gonna oversee these other, Office of the Controller? Currently, the law says Budget and Finance Committee has the oversight of the Office of the Controller, for oversight at that only. Even that way, if the council wants to move in that direction, we need to get a subcommittee after this standing committee is put in place, so that subcommittee could tackle and get the amendment to Title II. The policies in place, the plan of operation is in place. In the legislation has to go. Legislation approved. We have everything in place. Along with that, the programs have to work on their plan of operation, because their current plan of operation indicates their oversight. So an example, the Office of the Controller's plan of operation, this is our oversight. They have to amend these plan of operation, and all the tribal programs would have to do that. And the oversight will become under Naa'bik'iyati committee. This is coming from me. But I think if it's planned well, I think it can go. But we have to set a subcommittee for that. Maybe gear it for the next 2 years. Maybe we can get it ready for next 2 years. That way, when the speaker is selected again, that way we wipe out all the standing committees. And then the other thing too is Naa'bik'iyati committee is a standing committee. Is a standing committee. So if we wipe out the standing committee, it will only have Nation Council. So there's a lot of changes that I think with my tenureship that I see that could happen. But and I think that's something that we should move into that direction if that's the choice of this body. But right now, this Title II, NNC Title II, Section 181 is law. So we just need to go to Office of Legislative Counsel and request for the legislation, request to drop legislation. And that's in every right of every delegate of an act. But I do indicate that we do need to start moving on some of these legislations, whether it's for Budget Finance Committee, Law and Order, RDC, or Health and Human Service Committee, because they're constantly calling. When is these committees are selected? So even now, and with what Title II says, I think we should just move forward. If a region, delegate region, or an agency does not agree that they're in this certain committee and the other person is not agreeable to that other committee, maybe they can swap. That way an amendment can be proposed and we can address it that way. We can all do it on the floor. Bajo, talk about it, see if it's what it is, All I'm gonna say is I'm okay with where I'm at. Whether I go into HES or Budget and Finance Committee, I'm okay. Because I understand the system. It impacts every Navajo person in the Navajo Nation, a standing committee. So and as we move forward, whatever happens today happens, because we have a time limit, and also council started, whether we do not act on this legislation continues to move on to council. So with that, Alonso.
Yeah, Mr. Otoso. I'm going to go ahead and try to explain the Naa'bi legislation that was dropped. I'm going to give it to our Chief Legal, Dana Bobroff, try to explain that, and then we'll go on to the next people. Thank you. Dana?
Thank you once again, Chief Legislative Counsel Dana Bobroff. I just want, given the discussions I asked this morning, I asked Speaker Pro Tem if I could just give you a little bit of information. The Office of Legislative Counsel has a request, a formal request filed to convert from the 5 standing committees to just 1 standing committee, being Naa'bi. And so we do have a request. We've gotten a number of people who've come in and requested to co-sponsor it. So we're gathering a group, I guess. And just a reminder, the Office of Legislative Counsel does not disclose what delegate has made what requests. We think that that's private or confidential information. However, will give you a heads up if certain types of legislation are being requested. So we have a request. We are looking at amendments. It is a massive amendment to do that restructuring. What we hope is we're looking probably at a window of about a month and a half until we have a draft document to present, and then we'll go from there. The other thing is, because it's Title II amendments and some pronouncements by the Navajo Supreme Court, this type of amendment to Title II can only be done at a regular session. So the earliest you would be looking at is the spring session, which is in April, which is in April. Sorry that. So that's just a heads up. It is being looked at. It is, as kind of been pointed out on the floor, it is a very, very complex legislation. But we hope to have a draft in about a month and a half or so. If you set up a subcommittee or you have work sessions or what, that will be great. You will have a base document to work from. Back to you, Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation, Dana. Next, we're going to go ahead and give some time to Shanandai Crystalline. If there's anything that you would like to say to some of the comments and questions, you got the floor.
Pro Temp Chair, Honorable Azaret. There are some good discussion on the floor here today regarding reforming our council committees. And I do agree that this has to be analyzed and look back at forth and see what works best for us. And also to the several comments regarding how the selection process was made. And I did, just giving you a timeline. January 26th, we adjourned the winter council session. During the speaker's report that, that we should move on this as a priority. So I did take that initiative once we adjourned to start, meeting with our legal counsel on what the parameters are looking and what the law says. Entitled 2 of section 181. And I did have a conversation with her on the history of how this law was made in the past. And through that process, and I did mention during the report also that, you're more than welcome if you do want to caucus. And I know I talked to several speakers too as well on see how they done it. And there was no request for resumes or anything. And there are some leadership that have taken that route. I said, I want to see what type of expertise and skills and abilities that my colleagues have. Resumes. I said, if you are comfortable with it, you're more than welcome to submit your resume. And I'm very confident that I'm happy that I did that process. Initial. And I did just receive some awesome resumes, and it was a tough decision. And we were working against some strict timelines here, especially with our state priorities and with a lot of your meetings, then the chapters, and then and we're waiting on RDC, we're waiting on LOC. So those are just some of the rationales that came to coming up with the committees, and really basing on the resume and then the chapter resolutions that I also received. And thank you, legal counsel, for announcing that there is an introduction of a legislation to put all the standing committees into one. As she announced, it will take some time, into a month and a half, to draft that legislation. And I'm very welcome to look over that too. Of course, and that's I do support that effort within that legislation. I don't know the logistics of it, but it does sound like the same conversation that we are having here on the floor. And thank you, Pro Temp Chair, Honorable Azret.
Student Curly, Hananzido, Adopodo, Bien, Dana, Prof. Hela, Aroshin, Arnold, Sofian, questions. Let's go ahead and move on to some more of the comments and questions. Mr. Simpson, Honorable Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem Speaker, Madam Speaker, members of the Naa'bik'iyati Committee. It's a quick comment. I know that, I truly believe that every issue that we have on Navajo Nation needs to be heard by every council delegate here. And sometimes we're unfortunate not to hear some of these issues because we're very busy attending our own communities, trying to address issues. And we miss certain committees that we can attend to voice our concerns. So with that, then I always talk about transparency. And as Dana stated, she can't disclose who's sponsoring, who actually made the formal request. So I just want to be upfront with the council here, the Naa'bik'iyati committee here, that I'm going to make that formal request. So hopefully the next couple, maybe 4 or 5 weeks from now,
we'll have the proposed legislation ready. So it is really sense to dissolve the 4 committees and just have one committee. In English, so hopefully we can just get support during the spring session. Okay, thank you.
Avashina, Mr. Simpson, Kayla, Avashina, Skolnanik, Honorable Jermaine Simpson, you're on next.
Yate, good afternoon. This should be hello?
We can hear you. I don't think so. Go ahead.
Yate, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Yate, good afternoon. Speaker Pro Tem Azeret, as well as members of 25th Council and Chair Curley. I just want to say good afternoon. I will be in attendance a little bit later this afternoon, but I wanted to just, I had several concerns initially on but in my appointment, and one of the biggest, one of the biggest things I've learned in business is you have to be coachable. And in that sense, if something doesn't go my way or the way I want it, I have to be able to pivot and adjust. But I just want to say that I know there were public comments made in support or comments that were made that did not favor certain people in their position, and those were based on those folks and their involvement with our government for the last 20 years. Before I became council, and I've seen over the course of the years how grassroots folks have time and time again been kicked to the curb. And when you get treated that way long enough, the people will find a way to rise and say, we will not continue to tolerate this anymore. We have to do something about it. We have to put people in position.
Jermaine Simonson, still on the line? I think her call got dropped. Let's just go ahead and go. If she calls back in, I'll give her the rest of the time. Honorable Eugenia Charles, you're on the line. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Azra. I was actually hoping to get a little bit more information from Dana regarding the legislation that Delegate Eugene So had submitted during the 24th to give the delegates an idea of what that legislation was. And I know you can go on to Navajo Nation Dibs, you can pull the legislation and get more information, but and the reason why I'm asking Dana to provide that information is because based on the conversations that are happening right now, I don't know if Delegate Eugene So's legislation addressed all of the concerns that have been brought forward, but she also stated for the record that that delegates have submitted requests to drop that legislation at the same time. So, and I know that she is bound ethically not to provide that information, but maybe just a little bit of background information for those listening in online, and then for those who don't have access to to that particular legislation. Thank you.
Dana, can you answer that, please?
Thank you for the question, and just a little bit more clarity. So once the legislation is posted on DIBS, we no longer have, Office of Legislative Counsel does not have any attorney-client privilege or confidentiality issues once it is posted. So yes, Eugene did request legislation to go just to have one committee that was Naa'bi. That was to be a temporary process during the pandemic and such. There were, I think, if I recall, there were some timing issues. His legislation did not pass. He did probably a year and a half or so later, maybe 2 years later, he did file another request for that legislation. We ran into an issue of timing when he filed the request, how complex the legislation would be, and as it to go to during a regular session. So that was a lot of hiccups with the last request. This request that we're working on, it will be comprehensive. It's not temporary. It will be a just good to go. And one of the things that happens with the when the council changed from 88 to 24, it was done very quickly, that revision. That's what you see now in the code. With the 88, there were 11 standing committees, moving it to basically the 5. The amendments were made, I believe, in 2011. And the goal was to come back and amend it, make it flow. As you will see, it's right now the committee assignments or the committee authority, with the exception of the Budget and Finance Committee. Most of the other committees, authorities really need some tidying up, some clarity, so they're easier to read, easier to follow. We thought we were going to be doing that. That hasn't happened, but we are working on a comprehensive amendment, and it strikes not only Title II. It's amazing how much authority is and assignments to committees are spread throughout the rest of the code. So we need to go back and clarify that, get that all done. Each of the committees, there are authorities assigned to you that aren't actually in your Title II plan of operation. They've come to other resolutions, other statutes, so we want to make sure that we clarify those. So I really appreciate the question, Delegate Charles Newton, and there will be lots to discuss. Right now, initially, we have outside counsel, former Chief Legislative Counsel Ray Edsity started working on the draft, but we've had internal discussions with all attorneys at the Office of Legislative Counsel to identify issues. So that's where we're at. We are working on it. And as I said, the goal is to have it ready for spring session, but we would like to get it to you in advance so that you have time for work sessions, whatever you want to do with this. So we're looking at a month and a half. I think that's all I can add right now, Speaker Pro Tem. So back to you.
Thank you, Dana. Is that okay? Honorable Regina? Okay. Next, we're gonna go ahead and see if Honorable Jermaine Simon's still on the line. She said she's back on. Are you on the line, Honorable Simonson.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, back on. As I've mentioned, we've come years before the council and, trying to explain our dilemma there in Black Mesa and through that mining period. And we've come numerous times in hopes that the nation would support a transition post-coal activities. And then recently, it's been about reclamation. And so in the community of, in our Dihijing region, there are many issues that still need to be resolved. And our feeling is that over the course of the past 20 years, there really hasn't been anyone there in council who's championed any of these efforts. And most of the time we've been ignored. And so with this, and my problem with these committees now is that some have given themselves the authority to have final authority. And that is problematic because then it says we are the ultimate authority. We are the only ones that can hear these issues and we make the final decision. And I don't think, and that is not the way democracy works. And so, there's a group of you, my esteemed colleagues, for at least one of you, you're a returning member. I'm very straightforward person. So if there is a time that there is a problem and an issue, I would appreciate that you come to me and let's talk about it. That is the best way. That is one of the best ways I feel like we could work on this. I also am interested in how, we make this the one standing committee. I reserve my time.
Agustina Kela, Shanandai, Jermaine Simonson. Agustina, Mr. Honorable Norman Begay.
Speaker in legislation. Legislation says, let's just vote for the committee. All this action is going to fall in place later. So, we're just trying to get on a committee and vote on that. Right? I mean, it's plain Jane. All we have to do is vote on this committee. If we have a problem with it, do a legislation, change it. Just to get on these committees. I like the idea of what we are discussing. Later down the line, So, a motion to cease debate here, but let's just vote on this legislation to get on the committee. And then what committee are you going to be on? No. So we'll cease debate. Let's vote on this thing.
That is to send Mr. Norman McGay, Naa'bik'iyati, cease debate on that. For the Naskoshina Katawa, next in the line is Shandai Brenda Jesus.
Yeah, Dave Benado, Hehat, Pro Tem Speaker. Ado Inda Ada Shadeja, Madam Speaker, for bringing this legislation before the 25th Navajo Nation Council. Koko Kodo, I respect the concerns of my colleagues on the 25th Council. And again, just like my colleague here, Delegate Charles Newton had mentioned, that there was this current structure that in place, there was already recommendations for changes back, I believe it's 24th Navajo Nation Council. And right now, representing these communities on Navajo Nation, there is a diverse, vast needs of issues that need to be addressed, whether it's from the social service standpoint to transportation, public safety, economic development, community development level. Coco, I do understand that with the amendments that need to be made to Title II and to restructure a new structure to where all the 23 delegates have pretty much a say in issues that come before supposedly the 4 committees now. I honestly think that we should start strategizing. Thank you, legal counsel Dana, for allowing to elaborate on that. And so right now at this point, we know what our next steps are. That's what we're wanting to attain and wanting to accomplish as we go further. But should not it takes time to do research and piecing information together. If we all work together and structure a really good quantifiable methodology going forward, then it would be something that we all need to sit at the table and discuss. But for now, with the appointments that are being made, I'm just going to recommend, why can't we just make the appointments as it was by Speaker Curley, and later down the road, depending on how long it's going to take to restructure to the overall structure that was proposed by a lot of my colleagues here on the 25th Council, just so that we start exercising some issues, because I know that water rights is a very important issue right now that supposedly is going to be at the table of RDC, Adoinda. I know that there was issues of revenue issues for the overall Navajo Nation. So we are pressed for a lot of issues that need to be addressed, and I just wanted to state my position. Thank you, Pro Tem Speaker. Yeah.
Alo Shanai Brenda Jesus. Alo Shinasonane Kagwa, Shinan Shanding Shinan Sean.
Speaker Pro Tem, Speaker Curley, Brenda Jesus. Thank you for articulating the importance of continuing our government. You know, some of us were in Salt Lake City yesterday advocating for the Indian Child Welfare Act establishment in the state of Utah, and tomorrow some of the delegates will be in New Mexico, and I know we need time to prepare for the advocacy at the state level. And I just wanted to echo what Delegate Jesus and Delegate So have mentioned before that the committees, these are great ideas that are being brought up right now, but the committees will also help our executive branch. It will help the Navajo people in the way that it's been established, so that the work may continue. We're very excited and anxious to get to work, and that's been the message that we've been sharing with our people. So by accepting the appointments that have been made, we continue our work, and we get to go to work. And so I just want to really express the importance of the timeline that we're on, especially with the weather conditions that our communities are going through. We want to make sure that we get that representation. And I just want to, one of the concerns that was mentioned earlier about speaking on particular legislation that might not be in front of your committee. I was looking through code too, and under the Navajo Nation Code in, let's see, let me reference it correctly. Okay, in the second Navajo Nation Code section 164A, under A, number 14, it says all resolutions appointing public officials and significant or controversial resolutions may be referred to Naa'bik'iyati committee for discussion prior to being certified or enacted at the discretion of the speaker. By referral from a standing committee having final legislative authority, or by written request of a delegate who is not a member of the standing committee, which considers such resolution, the committee may refer a resolution back to the appropriate standing committee for further consideration. So if there's a particular resolution that you may want to be considered in front of Naa'bik'iyati, then there is an opportunity to refer that resolution back to the committee of the whole. And I'd love our legal counsel maybe to expand on that, if we can get further interpretation. But I just wanted to express the importance of the work that we all have to represent for our communities, and support the executive branch. Thank you.
Okay, last one, Shawnee Parish, before I go back to the presenter, I want to go ahead and give the floor to our chief legal, Dana, to explain any of those parts that were asked. Dana?
Delegate Arvizo online.
Thank you very much. I'm so glad that you read 2 NNC 164-814 A14. I just identified to Speaker Pro Tem that I wanted to point that out. So what 2 NNC 164-A14 allows a delegate to do, if there was, it can be applied to public appointments or the appointment of public officials, but usually it's significant or controversial legislation. A delegate at a controversial or significant resolution that is where final authority is a standing committee other than NABI. If there is a controversial legislation in front of, I'm just going to use RDC, and RDC has final approval authority. If a delegate who does not sit on RDC makes the request, that legislation can be referred to the NABI committee. And that happens before that request needs to be made almost immediately. because it needs to happen before the legislation is certified and signed by the presiding chair. So you do have an avenue to hear these more controversial legislations. You just have to take steps to do that. I would have Mr. Rico verify this or check his memory, but I do not recall the 24th council ever implementing A14. But it is there. It can certainly become part of your toolkit to hear all those legislations that affect your chapters. Back to you, Speaker Pro Tem. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Legal Dana. Next, we have one more in the queue. Just go ahead and let him speak, and then we will go to Shandai Mr. Arvizo.
Stephen Arvizo.
I was just letting you all know that I was online. Nandai.
If there's any kind of comments left from the questions, Madam Speaker.
Pro Temp Chair, Honorable Azeret. The Kudo Anidi, Honorable Simpson Yahadzi, that he is introducing that legislation on a lot of the questions that we have here on the floor regarding establishing one committee. We can have that opportunity to debate and put those recommendations forth. Honorable Simon Senia Hadziki and having that opportunity within that recommendation to our standing committees to also listen to our grassroots organizations and groups. The final authority to the standing committees, and that was also her recommendation, and that I believe that is for a discussion for a later time when that new legislation is before us. And also, Honorable Jesus, we do have many diverse issues across the Navajo Nation facing us to this day. With the state Utah legislatures on some important issues that are facing the nation. And those types of things do need to come before the committee and also any other commissions that are involved, even also the executive branch side. That is the report and I believe this is just a progression just to move our government forward to address a lot of those concerns. Legal counsel and if you do wish to, amend the legislation, and that is between within your colleagues, within your agency, the caucus that's it that the and there is that opportunity today on this floor to consider that as well. And thank you for your support in this legislation. Pro Temp Chair.
Madam Speaker, caucus, entity, Mr. Danny Shanandai, it has a call. Roshinasco attentato Yahanana Zika Yashi Nasco Tanane Katowe. The next item for agenda is to call for a vote on the floor on this legislation. Mr. Norman Begay, motion la, although seconds by Honorable George Tope. If nobody wants to speak or make any more comments, I'd like to go ahead and put it on the floor for a vote. Well, 2 minutes to vote. Thank you.
Arvizo votes red.
Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati, how do you vote? Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati. Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati.
Delegate Cardi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you, Shadeja. I'm having some technical issues, so I did call the office. May you ask or Speaker or Chair Pro Tem the vote that you're requesting? What's the vote on right now?
And I, Amber Crotty, we're on the main legislation, the main vote, legislation 0005-23, not the selection of each committee member.
No amendments.
Oh, so on the main motion, was there an amendment?
No, there wasn't. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Delegate Amber Canez Bacrati. I vote green. Thank you.
Honorable Amber Canez Bacrati votes green. Honorable Vince James, how do you vote? Honorable Vince James votes green via text. Honorable Nathan Nota votes red. Honorable Curtis Yanito, how do you vote? Honorable Curtis Yanito.
Red.
Honorable Curtis Yanito votes red. With that, Pro Tem Speaker, you have 19 delegates, who voted in favor, 4 delegates who oppose, with Pro Tem Speaker Honorable Amado Aseret not voting.
Okay, thank you very much, Council Delegates. And legislation 0005-23 has passed with a vote of 19 in favor, 4 opposed, and Speaker not voting. Thank you. This legislation will now move on to council at 2 p.m. Thank you. Motion to adjourn by Mr. Honorable Seth Damon, second by Casey Johnson.
Slater.
This is Delegate Carter. We vote green to adjourn. Thank you.
Honorable Stephen Arvizo, how do you vote? Honorable Stephen Arvizo. Honorable Stephen Arvizo did not vote. Honorable Brenda Jesus, how do you vote? Honorable Brenda Jesus. Honorable Brenda Jesus votes green. Honorable Rick Nez, how do you vote? Honorable Rick Nez. Honorable Rick Nez votes green. Honorable Jermaine Simonson, how do you vote? Honorable Jermaine Simonson. Honorable Jermaine Simonson did not vote. Honorable George Tulp, how do you vote? Honorable George Tulp. Honorable George Toll. Honorable George Toll votes green. Honorable Curtis Yanito, how do you vote?
Honorable Yanito votes green.
Honorable Curtis Yanito votes green. Going back up, Honorable Stephen Arvizo, how do you vote? Honorable Stephen Arvizo. Honorable Stephen Arvizo did not vote. Honorable Jermaine Simonson, how do you vote? Honorable Jermaine Simonson. Honorable Jermaine Simonson did not vote. With that, Pro Tem Speaker, you have 21 delegates who voted in favor, 0 delegates who oppose, with presiding Chair Pro Tem Speaker Honorable Lamardo Asteret not voting.
Nabi committee is officially adjourned at 12:38 p.m. We'll see you out at 2 p.m. Thank you.